Y'all trying to get over on this side so that with a mic the camera. Y'all just put a little bit more.
Come on this side.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to
Some
know.
folks on this side. But, okay, wait.
Yeah, maybe I should move this way a little.
Yeah, let's shift over more.
So thank y'all for coming out. My name is Angelo Pinto, co-founder of Until Freedom. And behind me, we have a number of organizations who are standing with us in solidarity for today's pre-Derby press conference. We want to have a conversation, share some of our thoughts about the Kentucky Derby and our continued pursuit for justice for Breonna Taylor. So I won't hold you long and make many comments. So I'll introduce our first speaker of the day, who is Aaron Jordan from No Justice, No Peace. Y'all give it up for Aaron.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Aaron. I'm one of the co-founders of No Justice, No Peace Louisville. As brother said, we're standing out here in solidarity with each other. We have several black-led organizations behind us, and we have full intent to black out Derby this weekend or tomorrow. Do you guys have any questions, or should I just go ahead and...
Can you spell your name?
Aaron.
Last name?
Jordan, Jordan. And so we're inviting everybody out to come celebrate. Well, not celebrate with us, I guess commune with us, have community with us. We're standing in solidarity with a family of Breonna Taylor, also with Kenneth Walker and other black people who have been affected by the situation, David McAtee's family. And we want to stand in solidarity and let the city know that we do not approve of them having a recreational leisure celebration like the Derby, something that brings in lots of revenue for the city. And then just another component of that is the gentrification that's happening in this area directly as a result of Churchill Downs being here is also something that needs to be a conversation. And I think that's all that I have. So no justice, no Derby. We want everybody to be here with us on Saturday. We'll be convening at South Central Park and leaving out at about 4:30. And if you guys want to contribute and have donations or want to bring supplies for the protesters, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
In addition to community-based organizations who've been participating, there's been a number of faith-based organizations who've also lent their support and voice. And now I'd like to bring up Mario Martin, pastor of Praise Nation Church and the Justice and Freedom Coalition.
Hello, we are here to do a couple things. Number one, we're showcasing to the entire world our reality. A reality where our people are consistently mistreated, oppressed in a city, in a state where we can go 6 months without justice and people will come and spend thousands and millions of dollars in celebration of a horse race. We stand with Breonna Taylor's family, and we stand with the entire community. At this point, we're all family. It's been 100 days since protests have been taking place, and we still have seen no justice. Our reality is that it seems like nobody cares. How? Because they say we're going to allow peaceful protests. But then if you turn around and look, you see tanks. You see soldiers to stand in opposition to that. A few days ago, our mayor was on, he was on the news, and he and others they shared a bunch of hoopla and a bunch of stories and a narrative to try to spin it before it happens. It's evident, if you look behind me, it's evident that they're not on our side. It's evident that they do not want to see peaceful protests, but we're here and we're showing up and we're calling on everybody in the city who has any real feeling about this and who's requesting justice for Breonna Taylor and the others. Come out and meet us tomorrow at 4:30. We're going to be right here, and there's no tanks big enough to stop us.
Can we get you to spell your first and last name?
Pastor Mario Martin, Mario, Martin.
And you're the pastor where?
I'm pastor of Praise Nation Church and a member of the Justice and Freedom Coalition.
Thank you.
As people start coming up, if you can spell your names and your titles for us.
The next speaker has been one of the lead organizers and voices around canceling Derby. He's also just been a great friend and advocate for us while we've been here. Pastor Tim Finley of Kingdom Fellowship Church. Y'all give it up for Pastor Finley.
Timothy Findley, Timothy, Findley, Findley, pastor of Kingdom Fellowship, founder of the Justice and Freedom Coalition. We insisted on having you all come here to this particular location because we wanted you and everyone else to see the pattern that Louisville leadership continues to take. And that pattern is meeting peaceful protesters with over-militarization, with provocation, and a continued stoking of fear. I would remind everyone listening that there have been 100 days of protesting. The first 2 days were difficult days. 98 days have been peaceful. All of the talk of looting, all of the talk of rioting, all of the talk of violence, it has not happened. And yet, we're here today, and there are military tanks, armored vehicles behind me. There is a ridiculous fencing system. And once again, the question is, why don't we have leadership in Louisville, Kentucky? Who is responsible for this? Why is this necessary? We're asking you to come out tomorrow, 4:30, to stand with us. We want you to understand that we're tired of what we are seeing here in Louisville, Kentucky. It seems as though everyone wants us to move on. And what black people are saying, what our allies are saying, is that we will not move on. We want justice for Breonna Taylor. We want those officers indicted. We want the mayor to have accountability. We want there to be exposure. Why are they still dragging Breonna Taylor's reputation through the mud? Why is the mayor coming on the news and saying that he's talked to a number of organizers and he's not talked to any of us? Who is making people think that we are out here every day causing violence and destruction? This is a dramatic response to nothing.
That's correct.
This is a ridiculous response. And I want to say this on the record. It does not matter to me how many times people get on television and say, we respect your right to protest. This is not respecting our right to protest. It doesn't matter how many times we talk about what the protesters are doing. We're saying to you, we're here because we want justice. And you may ask yourself, well, what does Churchill Downs have to do with any of this? Well, as it's been spoken already, they've been in this community tax-free, and they make no contributions. They gentrify the neighborhood all around us. I have people from the neighborhood, this neighborhood, reaching out to me and saying, don't forget about us. They have bought up lots, they have bought up houses. The CEO of Churchill Downs went on CNBC and addressed me specifically and said this race would be a unifying event in the name of Breonna Taylor. That is ridiculous. And the statement that was issued yesterday by Churchill Downs about how we have not been a great partner, my question is, would that apology have come if we weren't protesting? Or would it be business as usual? I want everyone to hear this. We will not stop with the Derby. We know the eyes of the world are on the city, but this is not stopping. We want justice, we want development, we want resources, and if this is going to be the compassionate city that we've called it, then we've got to put some action behind those words. Thank you.
No justice, no Derby. No Derby. No justice, no Derby.
No justice, no Derby!
No justice, no Derby.
No justice, no Derby!
Now we'd like to bring up one of our final speakers, Ms. Tamika Mallory, co-founder of Until Freedom.
Thank you all so much for being here. You know, as an outsider, when you visit another town, you pay attention closely to things that people who live there may not see, they may not recognize. And the one thing that Until Freedom has taken note of is the amount of resources that this city is spending, the taxpayer dollars, to try to quell the voices of nonviolent protesters. I say that because, and I use the language nonviolent and not peaceful, because we aren't peaceful. You can't say no justice, no peace, and at the same time claim to be so much of a peaceful movement. We're not here to be peaceful. We're here to be nonviolent in our pursuit for justice. Nonviolent in our pursuit for justice. So why would a city where you have a Democratic mayor want to do two things? One, solicit the support of tanks and military equipment to deal with people he claims he supports. I have heard Mayor Fisher say more than once, as an outsider who's listening closely to what's happening and learning about Louisville, I have heard the mayor say that he supports nonviolent protesters. And that, as Pastor Finley has said more than one time today, has been the overwhelming case in all of the different protests that have taken place in this city. And in fact, as Sadiqa Reynolds in her absence, the president of the Louisville Urban League has mentioned, the only time violence happened at a protest is when police officers were there instigating it. So perhaps the mayor needs to cage his officers, because they are the ones causing violence in this city. The other thing that I noticed that we have taken note of that is happening in this city is that the mayor and the police chief have decided to create slave-like circumstances for protests. We are not slaves. We got out of cages a long time ago, Mayor Fisher, in case you did not know, in case you did not understand what it means or what we believe it should mean to stand as a Democratic mayor, is that you do not support slavery. But that's what it looks like when you try to ask nonviolent protesters or demand that nonviolent protesters be caged up so that horses can run for the entertainment of the rich and famous. Meanwhile, the body and the blood of Breonna Taylor is on your hands. In this city, there is serious hypocrisy. And what we are standing in front of is an example of how deep the level of disrespect runs for Breonna Taylor's family and this entire community. The resources that are being spent to avoid what needs to be done, which is that 4 officers specifically who killed Breonna Taylor in an act of cold blood must be arrested and charged for her murder. That is what needs to be done. And then people can go home. What is happening instead is that you are instigating and causing more harm to the city that you claim to want to heal. What's interesting to me is to hear Pastor Finley talk about, I didn't hear the statement, but today I'm listening to him say that Churchill Downs put out a statement about unifying. And the question that I have is, where is their end of the unification? Because I can't see it. What I see is a clear demarcation to show that there is us and then there are you all. Again, the rich and famous. The bottom line is that this city wants to go on with business as usual, and they have created these barricades so that the media will not be able to make a connection between the protest for Breonna Taylor and what is happening with Derby. But what we believe is that the citizens of Louisville are going to come out so strong tomorrow that there is no way that you will be able to deny that justice for Breonna Taylor is more important than this race, It's more important than Churchill Downs. It's more important even than the leadership of this city, who is completely tone deaf to what its citizens are saying. So those are the things that we have been able to gather since we've been here as outsiders in Louisville. And what we hope is that the media will show the hypocrisy and make it clear that this city is, instead of it holding to what it should do, which is to do your job and ensure that these officers, Mayor Fisher had the ability to fire them all. He had the ability to fire the officers. But instead of firing them, he decided to help use taxpayer dollars, including Breonna Taylor's family's taxpayer dollars, to build a fence so that he could create slave-like conditions for nonviolent protesters. It is unacceptable. We will be here tomorrow, and we will continue to be here until Mayor Fisher and Daniel Cameron get their act together and go ahead and do what they know they need to do, which is to hold the officers responsible for Breonna Taylor's murder accountable. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to bring up the final speaker for today, Mysonne Lennon, co-founder of Until Freedom.
How you doing today? It is embarrassing that we have to be here. It is embarrassing to the state of Kentucky, to Louisville, that after 60 plus days, we still don't have an arrest for people who murdered someone. We were informed yesterday that if we stepped foot into the streets, that we would be arrested. Yeah. I was arrested 2 times in Louisville for nonviolent protesting. But the officers who killed Breonna Taylor have not been arrested 1 time. It is an atrocity and is an embarrassment. Yeah. And I just want to say that we will not be scared. We will not be threatened. We will not allow you with the tanks, with the National Guard or any other guard to stop us from our right to protest. Right. Protest is not a parade. It is not a march in which you tell us where we go. A protest means that we are dissatisfied with the treatment that is going on. Therefore, we have the right to protest where we deem necessary to protest. We have not shown any violence. Until Freedom has been here, and we have protested mindfully, strategically, and we have yet to show any level of violence. And therefore, we should not be met with anything that shows violence. There should be no militarization in this city right now. There should be no derby in this city right now. The only thing that should be happening in this city is the arrest of the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. So until we get justice, there will be no peace. We will continue to practice nonviolence, but I want you to understand, until justice for Breonna Taylor is served, we will not be scared. These gates cannot hold us back. We will be out here every day. God bless you. Mysonne, M-Y-S-O-N-N-E, Lennon, L-I-N-E-N, co-founder of Until Freedom.
So tomorrow, I just want to give some information about what will be happening tomorrow. So tomorrow, September 5th at 4:30, we will be gathering at South Central Park, which is 2400 Colorado Avenue. We're also asking folks if they're interested in participating and volunteering. You can email us at organizing@untilfreedom.com. Are there any questions from the press?
So if you guys want to talk about the fact that there aren't any fans, I know you guys said that this was a recreational leisure thing, but there's thousands of people who didn't come to town because they aren't holding any fans. So what do you guys want to say about that?
They're holding fans. Their fans will be watching from all over the country. The issue is not whether there are people in the stands. The horses shouldn't be running. That's the issue. So, you know, how they get the entertainment out to their audience is not our issue. Our issue is that they talk about unification and being a partner. They should have, in protest themselves, said that they would not hold the Derby until justice for Breonna Taylor is served.
Right. NBA done done it. NWA done done it. Churchill Downs can do it.
That's right. And there actually will be people on the stand. You all should hear research.
That's what I was going to say.
There are actually going to be people in there. Not on the ground and not in the stands, but in the towers and the Millionaire Rows. Check your
Millionaire Rows.
16 tickets apiece.
The
How much?
owners of the horses get 16 tickets
Yes,
a
they
piece,
do.
so it's gonna be people in there.
I have a question. NFAC has said that they're going to do a service day tomorrow. Are you in support of them coming?
You should ask the NFAC questions about their own
I'm asking if
organization.
you're in support of
You should ask NFAC
Right.
about their own organization. Are there any other questions?
Could you briefly describe the group No Justice, No Peace? Is this Until Freedom, Black Lives Matter? Like, what does the group consist of?
Every black-led organization is standing in solidarity for the family of Breonna Taylor.
That's right. Yeah, that's all they
All together.
everybody.
Any other questions?
Talk about the perspective, I guess, that you guys, well, I guess essentially perceive when you guys are out here non-violent protesting, but yet there's still, these officers here who, are just trying to prevent anything from happening in terms of crime or violence. So if you want to talk about, what that connection is, where you guys feel as if it's, not necessary to be here, essentially.
It's being black in Louisville. The truth is, being met with an overemphasis of policing is exactly why you're seeing protests around the country.
That's right.
We're policed differently. So as insulting as this is, if you grow up black in this city and in this country, you're met with this. You're used to this. And unfortunately, people will need to see these cages. And I think what Ms. Mallory said is spot on, that these are slave-like conditions. Well, I want you all to understand that there are many, many brothers and sisters in our neighborhoods that are dealing with slave-like conditions every single day. And if you want to know why that is, check the origins of the police department. They were once slave patrols. And we're saying we are tired of being forced with these kinds of conditions. So to answer your question, this is normal for us.
So I just want to make sure my question about NFAC, you did hear me when I said if you
No,
are
we
in
heard.
I heard you
support
very
of
clearly.
them,
Differentiate to the
I
NFAC.
heard you very clearly.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. all.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
guys, have a
No
great
justice,
day.
no derby.
Yeah.
No justice, no
No
derby.
derby.
no justice, no derby.
No justice, no
How are
derby.
you doing today? You're the hardest working person I've ever met in my life.